Hi muckers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing very well. I don't know if anyone remembers back when I was in New York and I was making these videos where I was reading these scripts that I had made of topics that I wanted to talk about. Now, my favorite thing about these videos were that it was very much so a discussion with the community, because I would make a video on something that I was really interested in and I had, done a little bit of research on or had looked into. I would give my thoughts on what I found out, and then the comments would give their thoughts. And it was just really fun, and I've never engaged with the comment section as much as when I make these videos. Now, the good thing about it is these all stemmed from I was doing a bunch of shows and I was constantly flying and in airports, so I had a lot of time to look things up, and I was on my phone 24/7. I was chronically online, and I have a backlog of them that I still never got around to filming, so I'm really excited to go through them today. Now, before I get into that, I do just want to say something really funny. Has anyone ever gotten their aura read, like their aura photographed and then gotten it read? Now, a couple of years ago, I got this done in New York, where I went to this place, I think it's called Magic Jewelry in Chinatown in New York. And you sit down and you're rigged up to this machine, and this woman takes a photo with this really contraption-y thing, right? And then the photo is of you, but with a bunch of colors around you. And then she does a reading on what your past, what your future, and kind of everything in your life is about, right? Now, 2 years ago, I got one done, and the woman said that my photo was so uncolorful, because they're supposed to be colorful, but she said mine was so uncolorful because I'm such a tired person. Now, fast forward 2 years, my friend Neve and I are in New York. We just did my final show, and Neve really wanted to get it done. And I said to Neve, I was like, oh, I don't know if I believe in it. And also just the last time I was there, she kind of roasted me. She said that my lifestyle is horrible. She said, I don't sleep enough. I'm too tired and all the rest, which is pretty much what you can gather by just looking at me in general. However, I went back to be a good sport with my friend Neve, and by some clockwork, my friend Neve got one done, right? And it is the most colorful fucking image of all time, and she's telling Neve about how great and inspired and she loves her life and all these different things. She takes mine, and yet again 2 years later, look at this, she says that mine is so dull because I'm so tired that I barely give off an aura. Isn't that crazy? This woman telling me that I'm so tired that I barely have a fucking aura. She was like, because you could barely see my friend Neve in her image, but you can see me clear as day. She was like, babe, you're way too tired. Anyways, welcome to the YouTube channel. Okay, so for today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Kardashians. And the thing that stemmed me wanting to make this video was Kris Jenner's recent facelift and kind of the discourse around it. Now, I think in recent kind of years, probably more specifically the last year, we've seen a rise of celebrity facelifts that are really being focused on in the media. Now, my mind immediately goes to Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan has had one of the most beautiful, incredible transformations, I can only assume it's a facelift, that we've ever seen. Lindsay Lohan looks so young and so refreshed, and she looks incredible. She looks as she did at her peak, but a little bit different, because her face looks different after a facelift, but she looks happy, she looks radiant, and I believe that it's due to the work of surgery. Now, the entire internet is speculating that as well. Lindsay will say that it's just due to more sleep. But anyways, she is apparently looking and feeling great. And the media is so obsessed with Lindsay Lohan again, because they're saying that she looks young and she looks beautiful and she looks refreshed. And we know that Lindsay went through her, years where she was clearly struggling, and there were a lot of very unflattering images of her in the media, and she looks completely different now. And I think the conversation around Lindsay Lohan when she looks significantly younger is really interesting to me. And then Kris Jenner pops out, and Kris Jenner, who, is no stranger, in my opinion, to plastic surgery, quite like the Kardashians, which is what we're going to talk about today, appears with a much tighter face and a much tighter neck. And the way the media are talking about her is completely different than what they were a couple months ago when she looked a little bit different. And I just think that the way that the media and the audience continue to respond to when we see celebrities getting work done, I think does more damage in the long run. People like to preach that, if someone wants to get something done, they can get it done and that's fine or whatever, as long as they're honest. However, even if a celebrity is honest or disingenuous, the public respond in such a way that kind of reiterates to even the public themselves that it is a good thing to look younger, or it is a good thing to get work done. And I don't really think people are having that conversation. And this really started to kind of tingle my brain a little bit in terms of what the Kardashians have done whenever it comes to self-image and the way that people, specifically women, young girls, talk about themselves and the impact that they have had. Because when I really started to deep dive into it, the Kardashians have had one of the messiest back and forth kind of public relations when it comes to talking about their plastic surgery. And one thing that I really want to focus on when it comes to the Kardashians is they like to set a standard of beauty, but once that standard of beauty becomes attainable to the day-to-day person, they have to immediately change it. Now, not to cut ahead, but when I see this, I think of, them getting BBLs, and then people start getting BBLs for a much cheaper price. It's not this exclusive thing. And then we see, oh my God, Kardashians remove their BBLs. It's like they always have to be one step ahead. But when the public are constantly chasing that high, all we get is a global body dysmorphia. So anyways, what I've gathered here is kind of information that I was able to see about the Kardashians and kind of over the years what they talked about or were called out for when it came to plastic surgery and how they reacted to that. Because I think it's really interesting and it kind of sets the tone of, as years have gone by, how have we kind of changed the ideal of beauty standards. So now we have the Kardashians, obviously, really in the news. Like I said, this is how I started it with Kris Jenner's recent facelift. Now, whenever we look back at Kris Jenner in the opening days of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, obviously she looks significantly different. And also one thing that makes me really sad is we see a lot of people reposting photos of Kris Jenner's new look. And, Kris Jenner is like in her 70s or 60s or something like that. And it's people being like, wow, she looks so good for this age. And I'm like, that's such a weird thing to say, number one, because most 60, 70-year-olds do not look like Kris Jenner. And that's absolutely fine and absolutely normal. But this reiteration of Kris Jenner looks really good for a 70-year-old. Have y'all seen what a 70-year-old is supposed to look like? Like, I know our perception of things is really skewed, but come on now. So anyways, 2006 to 2007. This is when Kim Kardashian is starting to make it in the mainstream because of her friendship with Paris Hilton and the fact that she was Paris Hilton's assistant. I think it's really funny looking back on the OG days of when Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian are out and the paparazzi are following them and they're literally like standing in the way of Kim Kardashian, or they're asking Kim Kardashian to take a photo of a fan with Paris. I think it's really interesting, and I think that's where they created a devil out of Kim Kardashian. She was like, I'll have the last laugh, and she did. But also 2006, 2007 was Kim's leaked sex tape as well. And Keeping Up with the Kardashians aired swiftly after the sex tape. October 14th, 2007, Kris Jenner was working overtime to make sure that was, a quick turnaround. You're doing amazing, sweetie. Now, I think it's important to note that when the Kardashians started the show, they all looked significantly different. I think that Kim was known for a very natural look. I think all the sisters were known for having a natural look, at least at the start, because they all looked relatively different from each other as well. I mean, even, I know people love to say that Khloe looks so different, which makes me so sad as well, because Khloe's the only one that I have a soft spot for, because the media have just been piling on and giving her body dysmorphia for years and years and years. Imagine the entire internet's narrative being you look like the ugly one in your family. Like, people are so evil. But anyways, Kim even looked different than Kourtney. Kourtney looked different than Khloe. Khloe looked different than Kim. Kim looked different. Like, they all had a different look. And I think that is really interesting when we go back and look at the starting days of the show before the show got popularity. Now, Kylie and Kendall are also in the show, but they are genuinely like young children, teens, so they're kind of not in the conversation here at all. And then Kris Jenner and Caitlyn Jenner are in the show, and they are showing, signs of aging, and they look kind of how you would look at that age. So this is kind of setting the scene. We all started off relatively natural because we probably didn't have the money to do anything more than that. And I also do want to clarify as well that the media is harsh, And I'm sure that in the opening days of Keeping Up with the Kardashian, people were making fun of details in their faces, details in their body, and then if they're able to tweak it when they get money and they know that they're going to be in the camera, I absolutely understand that. I'm also someone that was very deeply insecure whenever it came to having incredibly small lips, that I went out and got lip filler. And I got lip filler in 2022, and I've never once topped it up, but it has never left my lips, which again is a reason that I personally, at least for the foreseeable, will not get any filler or Botox or anything like that, because this shit doesn't leave your, like, I literally still have lip filler from 2022. It should not last that long. So clearly my body clings on to fucking filler, so I don't want any more, at least for now. Will I get some later on in life? Absolutely. I'm definitely going to get Botox later on in life. And again, that for me comes from being surrounded by specifically a gay community that, prioritizes the younger look. But again, when you look at women, that is a constant narrative that they're fighting as well, which is, this narrative of you have to look as young as possible. And again, I do have an element of sympathy, at least in the earlier days, when it comes to the Kardashians changing their look when they know that they're being criticized. So if they want to change it, they can change it. And I will always have the attitude of, if someone wants surgery and that'll make you feel better, go and do it. The problem with the Kardashians, like what we're going to see, is they get work done, which changes the beautyscape. And then when people are able to finally start looking like them again, the Kardashians change it even more drastically. And it's just incredibly unhelpful. And I think the dishonesty as well is really damaging to the public, because you set a standard of, oh, well, Kris Jenner, a 70-year-old, is supposed to look like that. You know what I mean? My niceness only extends so far. I'll say that. Now, in 2009 to 2011, I would say this is when the first kind of speculating of surgery really started to happen with the Kardashians, and it had to do with Kim Kardashian's ass. Kim Kardashian in the media was kind of flamed and, dare I say, investigated for the fact that she had a big ass. This is so weird to say. It became headlines, and people were accusing her of having a butt lift. They were accusing her of having filler. They were mainly at this time accusing her of having implants, because the conversation around BBLs and filler and stuff like that wasn't as common back in 2009. And it was very, very, very much so. Kim Kardashian is now getting body implants. Now, in June of 2011, Kim actually got an X-ray on Keeping Up with the Kardashians to prove that her butt was real and that she didn't have any implants. And this is a really weird episode as well. But I guess it was her shutting down the narrative. And again, who's to say that that was real or fake? That's not the point of this conversation. But it is to prove that even in those earlier days of the Kardashians, they would openly respond to the media speculation about surgery. Here we see Kim getting an X-ray to prove that she hasn't had any implants. And I remember watching that episode whenever I was a child. Now, Kylie, from this time point on, I would say from anywhere between like 2012 to around 2014, Kylie's look starts to change. And obviously she was the youngest, or one of the youngest. Her lips started to become a big topic of conversation, because I would say that she had smaller lips, and then the older she was getting, the more her lips were becoming bigger. Now, they weren't only becoming bigger, they were becoming more pout-like. And this obviously became a huge topic of discussion. Now, the more that Kylie Jenner's lips were growing, the more that young girls specifically were starting to, have this desire for bigger lips. Now, Kylie would constantly shut down that she was getting work done. She said that it was just her lips like maturing and stuff like that. I remember even as a child being like, girl, what the fuck? And ultimately, Kylie Jenner had so much speculating over are her lips real or fake that she turned it into her first empire, which was with Kylie Cosmetics, with the Kylie Lip Kit. And, the Kylie, I think it was just called the Kylie Lip Kit, where, it was lip liners and lipstick. And she said that her lips were bigger because of her lip kits, where she would overline her lips, and that's why they looked bigger. When in theory, she got lip filler and then overlined lip filler, making her lips look even bigger after she put the liner on, even though it was filler in there to begin with. So bigger, bigger, bigger lips. So then, Kylie Cosmetics becomes a roaring success because people have been speculating about this for so long. Obviously, people above a certain age knew that she was bullshitting. But the young people who Kylie wanted to spend the money, and probably Kris Jenner wanted to spend the money as well, knew that if they got Kylie's lip kits, their lips will look as big as Kylie's, which was the first time that we're really starting to see the Kardashians profit off of giving young people, in my opinion, body dysmorphia. You know what I mean? Kylie Jenner is seen as the prettiest teenager at the time for fellow teenagers looking up to her. She has these big lips, so then all these teens want big lips. And again, I think it was so scammy and really, I don't know, the full Kylie lip kits of it all, and that being when she's denying having lip filler is just so unethical and sets such a stage of the Kardashians kind of exploiting their vulnerable young audience when it comes to their appearances. Now, ultimately, Kylie did reveal that she did get lip filler, but she was too embarrassed to open up and say that she got that. And I completely agree with that. However, you are fundamentally profiting off of people being insecure by you saying that you're also insecure. Therefore, creating this cycle, which I don't agree with. And again, my sympathy with the Kardashians just doesn't go very far because I do believe that they just lie and profit and pretend to not want to open up about things when in reality they're lying because they're saying that they're insecure. I truly just believe that they love the idea of being able to change a look and then sell you a product which will help you change yours to look like theirs. Sorry, I was so goddamn thirsty throughout that entire thing. So anyways, I do want to clarify, though, that she did end up acknowledging that she did get lip filler, but girl, too little, too late. And I know that she was young, but still, this was during the King Kylie era. King Kylie era was a moment. She had that blue wig on. She had those big-ass lips. She wore those, I was going to say the C word, those little outfits, and she was everything. She was everything to me. Kylie Jenner was everything to me back then. She was the it girl. She was on Snapchat. King Kylie. Oh my God. Don't play with her. And this was also during the era when Kylie's popularity was starting to overstep Kim's popularity as well. And now we would see this by Kim. I think Kim was getting pregnant during this time and she was trying to like upkeep a young look. And even on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, she's asking Kylie what's cool and what's not. Also, my friend Alexandra was a huge King Kylie fan and would get every goddamn lip kit. So shout out to Alexandra. So, yes. Oh my God, I'd written down as well, the Kylie Jenner lip challenge, where people literally would get a shot glass and they would put it in their lips. This looks so inappropriate. They would put it around their lips and suck, giving themselves like a inflammation reaction that their lips would expand. And some people had to live with the, I don't even know what it would be called, the like inflammation of doing that, or the bruising or whatever it was called. The Kylie Jenner lip kit or lip challenge was crazy. And people were literally almost going to hospital over it. And I'm pretty sure a couple people did. And this again was all because of this ever-changing look that the Kardashians and Jenners were popularizing. God, the Kylie Jenner lip challenge, that's one challenge I never did, I don't think. You know what I did do? I did one internet challenge, and it affected me so much that I never did it again. I did the salt and ice challenge. I don't know if anyone remembers that, where you would put salt in your body, put ice over it, and it would literally give you a chemical fucking burn. I literally still have scars from it to this day. I'll not show you where they are, though. It was very embarrassing. So that Kylie Jenner lip challenge exploded on Vine, on Instagram, and again, Kylie was the number one talked about person for her ever-changing look. Now, it was in May of 2015 where Kylie admitted that she was getting lip filler, and this was again after lying about it. And now, after this, lip filler in the Google Trends had a spike of plus 150%. Post Kylie revealing that she got them done. Now, not only did so many people flock to get lip filler the same way they were flocking to get lip kits or whatever like that, beauty places were starting to open out of nowhere with barely trained nurses who were giving lip filler. And they were doing King Kylie discount codes. Not anything supported by Kylie, But because they knew that the audience were doing it because of Kylie, even these little shady places were profiting off of these young girls' insecurities or their need to try copy Kylie, which is so fucking disgusting. And 2014, 2015 was where we saw a spike of what we now call the influencer lips with lip filler. Hey, you can't call me out for that. I got my lip filler an entire decade after it, babe. Now, 2016 to 2018 is again another very interesting time frame. This is whenever Khloe was getting accused of ever changing her look. And Khloe as well on Instagram has a different look every fucking day. I mean, that face is constantly changing, but I think a lot of people don't acknowledge that they do face app a lot of their photos as well. So when people are like, oh my God, they got surgery, I'm like, that looks like Facetune. Khloe started to become a big topic of discussion whenever it came to an ever-changing look. She was having fuller lips as well. She was getting accused of having her jaw shaved, of having filler, of having a BBL, of having implants. Khloe was getting a lot of things thrown at her. And again, while things are being thrown at these ladies, people in the real world were changing their appearance to look like them as well. And it was just a mess. So we go on as well. We start seeing that Kim got a rumored BBL around this time. Kim's figure was ever changing. Then we would see a huge spike in people getting the same figure. They were getting BBLs. They were going to countries and, where it was significantly cheaper to get surgeries done, and people were having life-threatening surgeries in an attempt to keep up with the beauty standards that the Kardashians were putting to themselves, and they were flaunting in the media. And they were flaunting it in the media with every magazine you look at, every news article you see. That is promoting it. It is promoting it, specifically when you're not telling the truth, because then people think it's attainable. And when people don't think it's attainable, or they try and it's not attainable, that's when they go and do life-threatening surgeries. And that's what pisses me off. So filler was in a really big discussion with all of the women at this time as well. And I would say what's really interesting is Kendall Jenner was always really seen as the natural sister for the entire time that I watched the Kardashians of the show. But I would say around 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018 was whenever we're seeing Kendall start to alter her look as well. And again, she was seen as the natural one, but now we're seeing her allegedly getting like fox eye lifts and Botox and filler lifts and all like these. And the more that this would, be apparent, the more these plastic surgery pages would appear out of nowhere detailing the work that these people allegedly got, therefore emphasizing more people to go and get it because now they know exactly what to get, which again was this vicious cycle. Now, we're seeing a rise in the following years in surgeries like BBLs, buccal fat removal, nose shaping, chin jawline filler, jawline sharpens where they cut down your jaw, lip injections, brow lifts, fox eye thread lifts, and then more Botox. And this is not even including boob jobs and rib cage removals and all these speculated things, okay? So these are all on a rise over the years. And again, when people think of who the media beauty standard was, who emphasizes that, it is the Kardashians, and they know that they feed into it because that is why they are popular. They are popular for being the standard when it comes to they're in vogue, they're in everything. They don't have talent per se. Their talent is them. It's their bodies. It's their face. It's their branding. So they constantly need to be changing, but the ramifications that has on beauty standards for young people, old people, and everyone in between is drastic. Now, this is where it's really, really, really interesting. So the Kardashians have now spent many years changing the beauty standard game, People are getting surgeries because of them. People are starting to look like the Kardashians, I would say. I would say a huge chunk of people would now have lip filler. We're starting to see BBLs become readily available in different countries around the world where people are flying to get them done. We're also seeing Botox become very cheap. We're seeing filler become very cheap. We're starting to see a lot of these surgeries become so readily available and so cheap because most of them are being done by untrained people, which is crazy and unregulated, that there starts to become a thing known as the Kardashian face, the Kardashian body. And the Kardashians, we're not having that. And now we enter the era known as when the Kardashians started to flip things. So we start seeing them dissolve the drastic lip filler they had. They would still have lip filler, but the dramatic over pouting look was now gone for all of them. A lot of them started to rebrand for this, like, softer image where we were starting to see news articles pop up as, has Kim gotten rid of her BBL? Has Khloe gotten rid of her BBL? Has Kylie gotten rid of her BBL? We would start seeing alleging of just different surgeries being removed, where they were going for this now clean girl aesthetic, which is what we're seeing on the rise, which is inherently problematic, by the way, and I could make an entire video on how problematic the clean girl aesthetic is. Don't get me started on that. But anyways, we started seeing that on the rise with that terminology, with images of the Kardashians appearing much more natural, and that was a real big turning point. And again, this thing where the Kardashians set the standard, people catch up, it becomes attainable, and then they've got to change it again. While you have over-pouted lips and a huge ass, they're now wanting a smaller ass and smaller lips. And it's just impossible. Like, how can people keep up? And then people feel bad because they look completely different then. And again, there's a conversation to be had here in terms of we should have our own identity or whatever. We know that we are influenced. And we shouldn't hate on the people changing. We should hate on the people who are trying to set the standard and profit off of vulnerable people. Now, the Kardashians started to lose significant weight as well during this time. This is anywhere from 2019 until basically now. We're seeing, again, a lot of speculation about BBLs being removed, and basically BBLs started to not become as popular with the demographic that we're getting them because of the Kardashians. Now, in April 2021, this was a crazy moment. Khloe's team went into a full-blown fucking scandal, which really upsets me. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but a photo was posted on Khloe Kardashian's Instagram of her in a bikini, and it was very clearly not retouched or not edited in the slightest. And what makes me really sad is the image was scrubbed from the internet, and Khloe's team went into a full-blown PR response about this photo. And it made me really sad because Khloe looked good in that photo, and she looked like a real person, but that was a real turning point that kind of alerted us, the public, to know that they are in full control of how we see them, and that it all is very fake. But with Khloe, that makes me very sad because I would say out of all of the sisters, she is the one that gets the most made fun of for her appearance, even if she is changing it, and the fact that she would never allow a regular bikini pic to go up. It does make me sad, but this having a full PR response really kind of did show the public that they don't want you to see how they actually look. And that does make me sad, though. Now, I would say that a real big turning point as well was May of 2022 when Kim Kardashian wore Marilyn Monroe's original dress to the Met Gala. Now, the reason that this was a big moment is not only have the Kardashians kind of tried to set the standard with, you know, plastic surgery, but they also do it with fluctuating weight. They, you know, are a big reason that in past years, and by the way, body weight should never, ever, ever be trendy or be in. It should just be whatever works for you and whatever's good for you. Everyone truly is different. But the Kardashians really did set the trend of curvy is sexy. And then whenever everyone starts trying to train to get that body weight or eat or diet or whatever that may look like to people, we start seeing the Kardashians start to promote drastically losing weight. And I actually mean drastically losing weight. When Kim went to the Met Gala and wore Marilyn Monroe's original dress, she said that she didn't fit into it, but don't worry, she lost 16 pounds in only 3 weeks. So then, after this, we start seeing people crash diet because they now know, oh, well, if Kim can do it, I'll work equally as hard to... I need to turn that fucking AC on again. Oh my god, in my last 2 videos, I've gotten up... I'm, like, sweating so much. I know you can probably see it as well. Also, I'm wearing, like, the hottest pajama pants. Hold on, let me put this shit onto cold. I'm like, damn. Anyways, yeah, so it was really interesting how... Am I literally just going to talk to you over here? Yeah, I'm turning it way down. Whenever it comes to the losing weight thing, this really bothers me because... I think I can speak for a majority of people when I would say that weight is kind of a triggering topic, or maybe that's just me, right? And I fully reject the conversation of weight being trendy. And we see this as well. Oh, that AC is good. We see this as well in kind of the 2000s, where I think we all have an open conversation now where we look back at, you know, maybe celebrities or maybe characters in movies that were the comically fat one. And we look now and we're like, wow, you were actually very, very, very thin, or you were a normal weight. And I just think the Kardashians set this scene of making weight trendy, and it leads to crash diets. And also, the Kardashians are incredibly guilty of this because they literally do sponsorships, disclosed and undisclosed, of juice diets, celery juice diets, lollipop suppressors, where this lollipop, if you it'll make you not hungry anymore. They're actively promoting eating disorders to their audience, who a majority are young girls, which is so fucked up. It's so fucked up. So again, Kim gloating about losing this weight at way too much in way too short a time. Really, and again, if that's your journey, that's your journey. But whenever you're telling this and gloating about it, it sets the standard. And she knows that. Now again, Kylie has gone from overdrawn lips, dark blue lipstick, blue hair, to now the clean girl aesthetic. And now Kylie is really fed into this. Kylie's fed into this. Hailey Bieber's fed into it. And again, I think it's inherently problematic, and I will make a video on why it is problematic because people really don't see it. And again, it's just this idea of them kind of setting the standard, and then whenever everyone catches up, they've got to change it. So I'd written down they change the ideal as soon as people catch up to them. And it is a cycle of unachievable standards, which will always make the people that are consuming them feel awful about themselves. And you don't have to be a fan of them to consume them because they're always in the media. That is their job. It's a sign of exclusivity that we can't be involved with. And that's sick as fuck. Now, with Kris Jenner, with this recent facelift, I think it's really interesting because she's, nearly 70, and she is looking completely different than what she did when the show started. And I think that really affects people of an older age as well, where they start to compare themselves to people who are their age, who have a lot of money to change their appearance, and they feel bad about how they look. So it's like, not only are they making young people look bad, they're making older people feel bad, and it's just incredibly unhelpful. Now, I think as well, whenever I kind of wrap it up, I just think that I hope that we can get to a place where, number one, bodies are not trendy. No body weight should be trendy. And number two, I hope we can get to a place, because I know that realistically, if a celebrity changes their look so drastically with surgery, or they look younger, or they look quote unquote better, whatever that may mean, I know that the public will always respond. I'm not null to that. But what I hope is that when we move forward, we're able to kind of acknowledge when a celebrity gets work done, and acknowledge that that's what's happening here. Not that, oh, she looks really good for a 70-year-old. No, Kris Jenner is almost 70 and got a facelift, and that's what she did. And kind of not applying it to our lives, you know what I mean? But for as long as the media is built on the image of these people, we'll never get past it. Okay, this was one I was really excited to talk about. If you have any thoughts, please sound off down below about it. I just think it's this cycle of setting the goalpost and moving it. Let me know your thoughts. I appreciate you being here. I will see you in my next one, and goodbye.